Hi, my name is Rudolph Tang. I'm a journalist for Musical America and I'm a contributor to interlude.hk. Apart from that, I write for some of the finest musical journalism in China, in Chinese, including Music Weekly and Music Lover, the paper. And also I have my own social media, Classicom. It's available on WeChat, Weibo, and other social media channels. I would like to walk you through what happened in China in the classical music opera world in 2023, which is an extraordinary year because China ramped up the concerts of classical music opera as the country walked out of the shadow of the pandemic, which literally halted the classical music industry in the past 3 years, from 2020 when the COVID struck till the end of last year. In March, the authority lifted the ban or the restrictions on the approval of visiting artists, and the first came in, I think, in April or the end of March. In the second half of the year, since June, particularly in October and November, when the China Shanghai International Arts Festival was at its height. There were so many visiting musicians in Shanghai and all over China that I literally couldn't keep up with what's going on here. I think China is in a unique position, judging from what's going on around the world, a polarized world, if you like. One could find opera troupes, ensembles, orchestras, soloists from Russia. At the same time, probably on the same day, there are orchestras and musicians from the rivalries. For example, the Philadelphia Orchestra was in China just last month for a residence program. And before that, the Mariinsky Orchestra, led by Valery Gergiev, 300 people traveled to China for the largest tour ever in the history of Mariinsky Theatre to stage operas, ballet, and concerts, including the very first ring cycle to Shanghai. But further to the visiting musicians, visiting ensembles and orchestras, opera productions brought to China by a string of musicians from European countries, UK and States, and even Asian countries, Japan, Korea, for example. I would like to walk you through what happened really in China by the Chinese people, by the local music scene, which I mean the local orchestras, the authorities here, the conservatories, and the Chinese musicians. There has been a resuscitation of local orchestras. For example, there is a new orchestra here in China, the Wuxi Symphony Orchestra. That orchestra just inaugurated in the middle of the year. Well, there have been a growing scene, a growing interest in classical music, of course, but particularly in contemporary music. I've been to more contemporary music festivals this year than any other year in the past. There are festivals in Beijing. The BMMF, the Beijing Modern Music Festival, is a flagship among the fleet of contemporary music festivals. And this year is celebrated, I think, its 20th anniversary. Ye Xiaogao, most performed composer, and probably most influential one as well, is the founding artistic director of the festival. There is one also in Shanghai, the Shanghai Modern Music Festival. It's revamped from what's previously known as the Shanghai Modern Music Week. There are two resident composers this year, Xu Shuya and Qi Gangchen. I'm sure you have heard of both of them. There is one in Nanjing, the China ASEAN Music Week. The music festival is hosted by the Guangxi Arts University, celebrating living composers and traditional music from the ASEAN countries. I've listened to a lot of music from Vietnam and Philippines this year. Two major orchestras came, the Vietnam National Music Academy Traditional Orchestra and the UPSO, the University of Philippines Symphony Orchestra, came to Nanjing to perform contemporary music. Elsewhere, there's one festival in Harbin hosted by the Ministry of Culture and Tourism, presenting, I think, more than 13 orchestras, each giving a concert celebrating living composers and new commissions. There's one opera festival in Hangzhou. Again, a lot of contemporary operas, plus probably a few Western classics like La Traviata. And there's one also in Chengdu, hosted by the Sichuan Conservatory of Music, the composition department. One of the absolute highlights of the festival are several concerts performed by Nomad. It's a chamber music ensemble traveling all the way from Spain to Japan and to Chengdu via, I think, Osaka. I'm currently in Haikou of Hainan province. It's the second largest island of China. I'm here for the opening of the inaugural Hainan Island International Music Festival. Jaap van Sweden, by the way, one of the top grossing and the best-selling conductors of all time, outgoing artistic director of the Hong Kong Philharmonic and New York Philharmonic, the incoming music director of the Seoul Philharmonic, came here to conduct a newly formed festival orchestra with 18 members coming from 3 major local orchestras, municipal orchestras here in China, the Suzhou Symphony, the Ningbo Symphony, and the Straits Symphony in Fuzhou. There are new startups. There's a new festival orchestra by the Shanghai International Arts Festival conducted by Christoph Eichenbach just in October. And this marks the second new music festival orchestra. To make long story short, there are a lot of things happening here, and why don't you sit back with a glass of beer and read the story here on interlude.hk, where I share every year my annual roundups in the form of a top 10. I hope that with this coverage, you'll have a comparatively full picture of what's happening in China in 2023 on the stages and off the stages from the classical music industry. Stay tuned. Thank you.